Here's my setting link installed on the car. So the setting link puts the lower A-arm in an extreme drooped position. You can't achieve this position, for instance, if a shock absorber or a steering tie rod or the upper A-arm are attached. It just won't go. So you need to basically, this is a new installation from scratch, so I haven't even attempted to put in the upright, but it's going to be vastly easier to disconnect your upright from the lower ball joint and then use a rope or something to pull the upper A-arm and the upright way out of your way. And then that'll allow you to move the lower A-arm down to the setting link dimension, which is 17 and 13/16 for a Series 1. I used the same length for my 2+2, and you can see it was just a little bit longer, half an inch longer. So to set the torsion bar, you need to have the lower A-arm drooped, and then the torsion bar goes back, and the two holes in the bracket line up perfectly with the holes in the sheet metal and the holes in the reaction bar plate. And you put the bolts in and it's locked in. And then if you release the setting link, the A-arm is going to be in a droop position. One thing that I have found is with this A-arm in that droop position, there's just enough bending between the front and the rear that these splines really don't want to engage. I mean, they'll engage a little bit, but you can't get them to go all the way in. And I beat on the other end with a fairly heavy hammer with it in the droop position, and it just wouldn't go. And yet when I did set all this up on the bench, the splines slid through nicely, and they're greased, and everything was nice, but as soon as you put that little bit of a bend on it, it doesn't want to go. So one of the tricks I found is, and I have this locked in so I can't show you, but basically when you bring the A-arm up into roughly a horizontal position, it rotates the other end out, and it releases almost all the bending on the torsion bar spline connection, and you're able to slide that in and out. So what I did was a two-step process. I started by sliding the end bracket just over its splines and out onto the round section of the torsion bar, and it just dangles there. By the way, don't let it come all the way forward, because if you get it too far forward, it'll jam up. But it's just an inch or two back from the splines. And you insert the torsion bar through the big hole that exists in the sheet metal in the bracket, and insert it towards the rear, far enough. Then you come back around to the front with the A-arm horizontal. The splines for the torsion bar slide right in. No problem. I could do it with my fingertips. And you just arbitrarily start with the position. You're never going to get it right on the first shot, but you can slide them in. Then come take the setting link. I just pull the bolt here, and that bolt's cockeyed, but because I don't have two hands to straighten it up. But trust me, that bolt will go right through. And you release the bolt, and you take your setting link out, and you just manually pull the A-arm up horizontal. So once you've got the torsion bar engaged, and about 50% engagement is all you need. There's a little slot in the middle of the splines at the front end of the torsion bar. That slot can still be visible, and you'll be fine. That pulls the torsion bar forward enough that then when you slide the rear bracket to the rear, it'll just start to slide over some of the splines and lock itself into a position. So at this point, you do lower the A-arm down, put your setting link in, and then you come back here and you test fit, and you just pick a set of splines. And there's only one set that are going to get you even remotely close. Jumping one spline at a time is a big rotational difference at both ends. And The article is going to talk about the vernier concept, but using the vernier concept, you can gradually creep into the correct position. But in this case, you're going to get to the rear there and you're going to test fit it. And typically, well, what you have to do is once it looks close, every time really, you got to go ahead and engage that boss on the back end of the torsion bar into the holes. And with this car, that took, 5 or 10 pounds of pull, not 100 pounds of pull. It wasn't too bad. And you just get the boss engaged so it's centered in the holes. And then you can literally just look up in there with a flashlight and you can tell if the holes are pretty close. And if they really look like they're perfect, go ahead and try a bolt. And if you get a bolt to fit, you're done in that respect. But in reality, what you're going to find out is it's not going to be lined up. So then you're going to come back out and you're going to repeat this cycle many times, possibly. You're going to release your setting link. You're going to bring your lower A-arm horizontal. You're going to go back here. You're going to release the back bracket so it's just sitting on the smooth part of the torsion bar. You're going to come back up here. You're going to carefully pull the torsion bar straight to the rear, and you're going to hold it, and you're going to rotate it, and just pick a direction, clockwise or counterclockwise. You got a 50-50 chance of getting to the end sooner or later. You're going to rotate the one set of splines, let's say clockwise. Then you're going to put your setting link back in. You're going to go back here. You're going to fit your bracket. You're going to look down through the holes. And I think I learned after I did it, it's either getting worse or it's getting better. If it's getting worse, you can just come back and instead of going clockwise, you can go counterclockwise. But eventually you're gonna go around and you're gonna find the sweet spot. And you basically repeat the test fit the bracket. It's not quite right. Release the setting link, bring the lower A-arm horizontal, rotate the bar, one set of splines at the front, come back to the back and test fit it. And eventually you will find a spot where it matches up. And at that point, you're back into this. Well, at that point, you can release everything one more time and slide the torsion bar 100% in and go ahead and make up that 1032 by 2-inch bolt that goes through the slot in the splines. And that keeps the torsion bar from moving backward and forward. Trust me, there is so much friction on a torsion bar. That bolt is really just there. I don't know. There's no way that torsion bar is going to work its way out. But a 1032 bolt is not going to stop it if it wanted to come out. So, but it's belts and suspenders, I guess, is the best you could say. So you're going to make up that 1032 bolt. One last time, you're going to go back here with your setting link installed, and you're going to put the bolts through, and you're going to tighten everything up. So those are my major tricks. Don't try and get the torsion bar disengaged to the front unless the A-arm is horizontal. And my last trick, I'm going to turn it off. My last trick, and you may or may not have to do this, but I was trying everything I could to get it easy. I went ahead and released this bracket at the rear of the A-arm. I released it, and that allowed the A-arm to move at the rear towards the middle of the car. And that just seemed to take some of that bending force out of the torsion bar. And then when I'm done, I did the one on the other side. I got a big pair of water pump pliers, and I squeezed the bracket into alignment and made up the bolts. And that didn't fight me too much. So I think that was a worthwhile trick. So in summary, test fit all your pieces back at the reaction plate before you put the engine in. I had to clean my holes up with a reamer. Oh my God, that was a lot of work in place. When you're installing your torsion bar for test fitting, bring your A-arm to a horizontal position and consider releasing the attachment point at the rear end of the fulcrum shaft. And obviously use a setting link to hold your distances. Some people use a turnbuckle here. I don't know, it's fine. turnbuckle with round eyes at both ends. So I think that's it, and there'll be more discussion in the article. Thanks very much.